Every good hero needs a foil. The character that's just like them, but darker, edgier, evil. It's a classic case of overcoming yourself, and Mega Man is no different. Sure, he has a brother that's just like him, who's thrown his buster into the ring, and yeah, there was that time he fought his future reprogrammed self, but they didn't stick around as the overall baddie. Today, we're looking at the rival, the robot who believes himself to be the strongest. This is the Basics on Bass. Alright, so let's address the biggest elephant in the room here, which is going to be his name. I think it's safe to say that today, it's pretty clear his name is a musical term, because, well, that's the naming scheme to Mega Man. But back in the day, when I was a young warthog, the internet wasn't everywhere like it is now. So there was some information that just wasn't as prevalent. And one of those was the puns. The Japanese names, rock and roll, blues, etc. Then came Mega Man 8 in its gloriously bad dubbing, where we get this amazing scene.
Finish this. Hey, Zack! Why must I fight you? We are not enemies! Shut up!
Now, this was my introduction to the character, so naturally, I believed it. And thus the argument of what his name is was born because of an official game. Well, today we know it's the musical pun. I'll be honest and admit that bass is hardwired into my brain, and it's something I have to be conscious of when I pronounce it. But that leads me to a disclaimer for the video, which is I'll be using the Japanese name Forte. Because one, I won't mess that up and have to redo recordings, and two, it's just a better name. Bass means a low pitch or deep. Forte means powerful, loud, strength. And that perfectly encompasses our boy. Forte is a robot who appears in Mega Man 7. And I'd say he's been a staple going forward, but he was lacking from two main games. No, the little diagram of him in 9 doesn't count and you know it. Yet, even being absent from these games, he managed to drop in all sorts of side games around the time, even getting a game of his own, which is more than Proto Man ever received. Forte is a very confident person, believing himself to be the strongest and having the oomph to back up the claims. He comes off as angry, and don't get me wrong, he does get angry. But really, it's more of determination and fixation. Having lost to Mega Man, whom is the whole reason he exists, he strives to prove himself as superior. If it needs to be said at this point, the guy is also pretty egotistical and rude. He looks down on pretty much every other robot, referring to them as junk, and really dislikes Wily's other bots. Heck, the guy doesn't even really care for Wily. Though, interestingly enough, he does care about humans, or at least values them. For being such a self-centered jerk, Forte has shown he has the makings of a hero in him. He just needs to want it, or accept it. But till then, he'll be the anti-hero of the series with the sole goal of proving he is the strongest. Sometime prior to the events, or heck even during, Mega Man 6, Dr. Wily was messing around with new ideas as he tends to do. You know that guy never stops trying to find a new way to one-up Light. And in one of those attempts, he was studying Mega Man with the goal of creating something similar, and completely by accident, he developed a new energy source. The ratings for this new energy was off the charts. It was the strongest there was. Harnessing with plots of evil deeds, Wily did what he does best, and tossed it into a robot. Built like Mega Man but with more raw power, the mighty Forte was born. Forte's adventure began actually posing as a hero during Wily's escape from Mega Man 7. He tests Mega Man in combat, and either deems him worthy or not based on how you play, and then isn't really seen again until much later in the game. Pretending to be injured, he exploits Mega Man's kindness and gains access to Light's lab, where he thoroughly wrecks the place, even stealing some blueprints. He continued to be a pest to Mega Man throughout the game, acting completely loyal to Wily, and even saving him during the very end. This loyal role, though, didn't last long. Forte was quick to turn on his creator, claiming that Wily would not need to make new robots when he was the strongest. So not really fully rebelling against Wily, just keeping him in check so that he could be the one to defeat Mega Man. Then, during the events of Mega Man 8, Forte would briefly return and once more lose to Mega Man. Twice if you consider the opening scene with a horrible dub that ruined me as a loss for him. It would be after this loss that Wily would begin to actually lose faith in his creation. Perhaps Forte wasn't really all that. He had the energy, he had the build, and he sure had the confidence, but he still fell short. Ready to write him off, Wily worked up a new scheme that would frame him as the victim. With the creation of a new high-end robot, King, Wily then used him to kick himself out of his lab, prompting Forte to fight for his home. Should all go as planned, both Mega Man and Forte would be out of Wily's hair. The world now being threatened by King, Mega Man and Forte had a similar goal, and the two worked together, reluctantly for my Reggie Punk. With King's defeat and it being revealed that Wily was indeed behind the whole thing, the two would stop the old man in his tracks. And in his defeat, his faith had somewhat been restored in his creation. King, a robot designed to be superior, was bested by Forte, showing he is indeed the strongest. This, however, wouldn't last. After Forte would interfere once more, stating Wily need not make other robots. Wily regretted making him and shifted focus on something grander. Though he had lost his faith in Forte, Wily still had plans for him, having him undergo an upgrade session for a whole game. The next time we see Forte, hey, look at that, he rebelled again! Though this time it's a bit more understandable. When the world was thrown into chaos under the threat of Roboenza, and once more Wily fainted innocence, Forte took to combating the rampaging robots. After all, he was at risk to this viral infection too. And in doing so, it came out that it was Wily all along and, well, Forte had to go teach him a lesson. And while that would conclude the main games and the side games that give decent insight into Forte, those are far from his only appearances. The guy's been everywhere. He joined the great race of Battle and Chase, strictly because Mega Man was racing and this was yet another chance for him to try and show him up. He had another title of his own for the Wander Swan that is dubiously canon, where him and Mega Man team up once more to fight some time-traveling threat. But wait, there's more! I kinda referenced the events earlier, but the two arcade games had him as a playable character. He also was a boss and had 3 playable versions in X-Dive. For coming in so late in the series, Forte has really stuck around and left an impression on everyone, fans and game devs. So what makes Forte so cool aside from his attitude? Obviously his combat. Being based on Mega Man means he comes equipped with a buster, but his buster is kinda special. It drastically changes, and not like Zero's, who gets a design that flip-flops between titles while being roughly the same in functionality. In the first few games he was in, his buster is chargeable just like Mega Man's, firing off green blast or little laser beams. Pretty standard stuff. But then, when Rockman and Forte came out, his buster changed completely. He has purple shots and has no known ability to charge anymore, but rather he fires off a steady stream of shots, or as some would say, rapid fire. He's maintained this combat style through Mega Man 10, so it's probably safe to say this is how he'll remain. But it's interesting, because Coleman X over here noticed a detail on him that is likely just a case of us fans digging too deep, but the buster design changes between games. He actually did a whole theory video on this change, and how it relates to the shot types, so if you want the complete buster breakdown, check him out. Aside from standard Buster Blast, Forte also has the variable weapon system. You know, that thing that lets you use boss's powers. He changes colors, he gets the effect, it's the whole 9 yards. Then, when the going gets tough, Forte has no issue closing in the gap. Originally limited to a secret versus mode in Mega Man 7, Dive brought back one of Forte's cool moves known as the Booster Kick. A little burst of energy, I assume Fortanium, surrounds our chat as he goes all Street Fighter on someone. Speaking of, he can also do Guile's Flash Kick. Sure, some might say that's just an Easter egg and not canon, but I don't care. If X and Dragoon can do the Hadouken and Shoryuki, then Forte can has a Flash Kick. Something special to him too is that he can dash, which I guess Proto Man can dash too, so it's not that special. But Forte can air dash! In Power Fighters, he can dash in the air, and even in Mega Man 7, he can get equipped with M. Bison's fighting style and do a Psycho Crusher, which is an air dash. It counts. And what's a Mega Man copycat without a companion? Even Quint had one. Forte is no different. as he comes in with a wolf robot Trouble, also known as Gospel, which gets kinda weird in the Battle Network world because they didn't localize his name, they just left it as Gospel. So because of that, and because I'm already sticking with Forte, I'll use Gospel from here on out. This is one loyal doggo though, or wolfo, whatever. Gospel can always be found at Forte's side and fights alongside him, be it by shooting blasts, or dashing in for a quick bite, or tackle, envision it however you want, he does both. He also picks up items on their adventures and can hand them off to Forte to keep him going. Heck, he's the reason Forte didn't succumb to Roboenza. He's a good boy. And much like Mega Man, and because they may have stole the tech from Light, the two can combine, with Forte armoring up with their version of the super adapter, Gospel Boost. Forte can now fly well in this form and deal stronger attacks, like the Rocket Punch. Though, in Mega Man 8, the two incorporated evil energy into the mix, changing the adaptation into a new form that would stick around for games to come. This new form really amps up our Edge Boy, except for when you get to play as it. You just get this piddly little triple shot, and it's okay, but you mainly use this form just to move around freely. However, as a boss, Forte now cranks up that buster to 11 out of a possible 5. He loses the Rocket Punch, but he gains buster shots that are bigger now. He can also supercharge, and it's pretty sick. I mean, look at that. That's how you charge up. Once charged, he can fire off blasts that I guess splinter while airborne and rain down with cool explosion effects, or he can concentrate the attack into a single beam. Super Forte is incredibly powerful and super cool, and everyone who played X-Dive hated fighting against him. Looking past the games, Forte's biggest role would be in Ariga's manga series, Mega and Gigamix. Here, Forte's battle-crazed self is preserved, focused solely on throwing busters with the blue twerp. Well, not exactly. While that is a major factor, his pride in this draws him to fighting anyone who is presumed strong, so that he can prove he's the strongest. We see this with Proto Man and later the Star Droids. Speaking of him though, Forte has a level of respect for the Red Robot. Hearing him out, and in his own weird way, respecting him. It's a nice touch that we see little glimpses of in the games, such as Power and Fighters and Forte. For all the battle craze he has, Forte is frankly more psycho in this run. After saving Roll from being held hostage by the Darkman squad, Forte steals their idea and kidnaps Roll just to try and get Mega Man to fight with him. He's pretty deranged. Like, he burned a city just because he didn't think Mega Man was fighting him seriously and was trying to get him to go all out. Then during Gigamix, he's the first to fall against the totally not duo White Nightmare. After the whole gang shows up and unfortunately unleashes the Star Droids, Forte is taken back for repairs, and this proves to be a mistake. The doctors talk about utilizing some powerful crystals they mined earlier from the events of Mega Man 3, and because he's a jerk, Forte just takes them all and charges in to fight the Star Droids alone, in a totally lunatic, battle-crazed state. He does what he can, but he's outnumbered pretty hard. Though when the other heroes choose to show up, Forte finishes off who is in my opinion the most threatening one, Saturn. Forte has also shown up in a handful of other mangas that cover, you know, the games he was in. There isn't many crazy things to cover with them, other than in the Ann Forte story, he utterly humiliated Ballad with a sick bank shot. And later in the end, we get to see him helmetless. It's kinda cool. And this one is for the shippers out there. In the Battle and Chase manga, Forte actually sticks up for Roll and kinda comforts her, after Mega Man scolded her for not listening to him. He's also briefly been in the Archie comics, coming in during the Sonic crossover comics where he's a short-lived opponent, as well as the time-traveling issues where Mega Man gets a glimpse of future stories. Oh hey, we get to see his hair again here. That pretty much actually covers the angsty robot. I know many of you are likely wondering, what about the Battle Network version? That's a big, arguably bigger deal. Well, don't worry. Before you go throwing tomatoes and full wine bottles at your computer screens, he's getting his own video. And I say that often enough and then put it off for longer than I should. But not this time. Tune in tomorrow, because Forte EXE gets his own video then. I'll see you there. Till then, rock on.